Hello everybody and welcome to this week's Markets to Watch from Smack the Markets for week commencing the 26th of November. Now this week we're starting the week on the back of significant progress being made in the Brexit negotiations over the weekend, although there never seems to be really a happy ship on either side as those discussions and as those negotiations progress. We also had some rather light volumes from the US at the tail end of last week for the Thanksgiving holiday. So we had significant lighter volumes for not only Thursday, but also Friday, as we had that half-day holiday there too. So it's going to be quite interesting as to how the markets play a little bit of catch-up this week once the volumes get back up to normal. So let's go and take a look at some of the markets here that we're focusing on in the trading room this week. Now, the first one I want to take a look at today is platinum. I discussed platinum last week, and what I was looking for was the market to looking for long opportunities really here above 850 up towards the 900 level. So what I was looking for here was if the market could break above 850, I was looking for that move up towards that 900. Last week, as we can see, the market sort of pretty much stayed where it was. It just sort of hovered around just underneath this 850 level. Now, at the moment, I think the setup still looks rather sort of valid. It still looks rather sort of interesting. Certainly, if we come down to the daily, you can see the market's just sort of hovering around our sort of 850 area at the moment. And across the board, precious metals are starting to look rather bullish. So we got some support here on the lower time frames on the 4-hour. We've got our level here just up here above the break of these highs around that sort of 850 area. So I'm waiting for this market to break above this level, start to put in some price structure, so starting to form a trend here. And if that happens, I'll start to look for positions to trade up towards that sort of 900 level here on platinum. Now, let's come and have a look at another commodity here for today. This one is oil. Now, oil has been declining pretty hard over the past few weeks, as we can see. The market's now back down to this sort of $50 level, which is sort of quite interesting. If we take a look at this on the weekly, we can see that the market's had a solid move down to sort of 50 level. And some of us might be thinking, well, it's due a bit of a retracement, it's a bit overextended, but unless anything significantly changes, then we're not likely to see anything sort of change here. So unless anything sort of changes from a fundamental basis, we might expect very much the same of what we've been experiencing recently in oil. So $50 is certainly a significant price point here in oil, but there's also another significant price point around this sort of 47 to 47.50 as well that we can see here as well. So there's plenty of opportunities if the market breaks 50 for it to come down to another level and get attracted to another price point lower. So let's come and have a look at the sort of lower time frame. If we have a look at the 4-hour time frame first of all. So on the 4-hour time frame, we can see how the market's reacted. This has just been reacting around technical levels, and as it's continued to extend, have a big move away from the moving averages as the trend extended, it tends to pull back into those moving average, back into technical levels before the next leg continues. We can see this sort of most significantly on the recent leg of this 4-hour trend. So I wouldn't be at all surprised unless we see any significant change in the fundamentals here on oil, then we might see a continuation again. So possibly a retracement back into the moving averages, maybe even back into 53, and then start to look for, if it does get back into those sort of areas, then I'll start to look for opportunities for this trend to continue. And that will be looking at sort of positions to be able to trade it back down to 50 again, and then under 50 down towards that sort of 47 level. Okay, so let's come and have a look at the US indices. Now, if we have a look at the indices, we'll take the S&Ps as a benchmark here today. The S&Ps here have had a solid down week last week, a big sell-off, in fact, and the market sort of come down to some rather significant price levels. So just, well, not far off this sort of 26,000 area. All of the US indices are pretty much the same. The Dow and the NASDAQ are all looking exactly the same. They're down at these extreme low levels. So the question is here, what's going to happen? And this is certainly sort of like, I think, when we get down to these sort of price points, we're certainly getting into those big decision areas as to whether this upward trend, this nice long bull market, is going to be sustainable going forward, or whether we're going to break these levels and have a significant retracement. Now, I think if we consider that a lot of the move that happened last week occurred at times when we had lighter volumes. So I give it a bit of that you know, now that we're going to have everyone back to work this week, volumes are going to be back to, and liquidity is going to be back to normal. We might expect to see some sort of retracement, some sort of heat taken out of this drawdown that we've seen last week. Even if this market is going to roll over and decline after such a solid sell-off, we would always expect some kind of a retracement. So even if we're thinking that longer term this market is likely to continue lower, we might expect a retracement, possibly a retracement back into 27, which is a significant level here and decision point here on the S&Ps. So we could get that decision point here, and then the market could decline, or indeed, if the market is going to remain bullish, we've got to get back through 27 anyway. So for me, what I'm looking for is a bit of a retracement in these markets, possibly back to 27, and for the real decision to be made around that sort of area. Of course, you know, we've got our levels here on the market where above 27, where we've had significant price structure and trading opportunities before. So, you know, once the market decides what it's going to do around here, then we've got some clear direction as to direction and target levels for opportunities. Now, let's have a look at a currency market here. Now, one that is of particular interest to us at the moment here is Aussie CAD. Now, Aussie CAD, again, the Aussie is particularly strong. It has been strong for a number of weeks, as we can see. The Canadian dollar is not doing too well, particularly with the decline in price of oil as well, is not helping. So we're seeing some bullish activity here with Aussie CAD, and on the weekly, you know, we've had that strong move up, and at this moment in time, you can see here on the daily that the daily is now starting to pull back into some significant sort of areas here, back into the moving averages. So we've got some good trend structure forming here on the daily chart, and there are some levels here that you can see that prices reacted around before. So even if I sort of zoom back out of this, we've got our structure points here, the lower level where price is now sort of broken through. We've got a couple of other levels up here, but if this market is going to continue long, if this trend is going to continue long, and the fundamentals support that, we could see, well, the market's got to move above the previous highs in order for that trend to continue. So we could easily start to see a move up here towards 97 in the short term. So I'm looking for long opportunities here on Aussie CAD. We've taken one in the trading room already. We just had a successful trade on the trading room already this morning here on this, as the market sort of bounced off these structure levels here on the 4-hour time frame, and we started to see some buying activity coming in above 95 sort of 80 area, which is this sort of secondary level that we have here too on the 4-hour time frame. So as long as this trend continues here, we're going to be looking for, again, new opportunities to be able to trade this market long. As I say, ultimately looking up here for these higher time frame trends to continue up towards that sort of 97 level this week. And as long as they do, we'll be looking for opportunities to participate in them. So there's a few markets there that we're keeping an eye on in the trading room this week. Certainly hope it helps. Look forward to speaking to you next time. Bye for now.